You're listening to SM Media, the #1 place for exclusive content.
Hi everyone, welcome to the latest episode of the Scottish Football Show right here on SM Media. I'm Scott McPike, pleasure to be your host as always. We've got a very interesting and intriguing show this week. We've got a lot to get through and it's been an eventful week in Scottish football. Joined as always by Marc Wilson. Marc, how are we this weekend? It's been a bit newsworthy, isn't it?
Yeah, lots going on, but I'm so happy to be on the show with Marc Shankland, who has now, despite being a Scottish Junior Cup legend, is now a professional Scottish Cup legend after his sensational strike yesterday. So absolutely honoured to be on the show, and it's always to see Charlie too.
We're delighted to have Shankers on. After his interview with BBC yesterday, we thought he might have been stolen, but Shankers, you're here. How are you after the weekend? A brilliant result, brilliant goal. You must be as high as a kite.
Oh, aye, we're happy to get through into the next round and we the draw the day, and we've got a tie that we'll fancy ourselves again. So I'm just happy to be on. Touching on the BBC thing, I don't get like Rory. I'm no big time when BBC asked me to speak with them. It's water off a duck's back with me, Rory. I mean, here's Rory not appearing on the show tonight because he's got a BBC gig this week. So anyway,
live on TV as well. So that's something to take note of. Berwick versus Getting. He's told me to plug the show, but he's off doing his notes, so he won't be on tonight. But we brought in Charlie Richmond. Charlie, it's a pleasure to welcome you on the show as always. A very eventful week. What was your kind of highlight of the weekend?
Me? There's only one result this weekend. It was unbelievable. All roads led to Meadow Park. A tough tie. Meadow, as much as they get the penalty, in my opinion, it was a penalty at the time. They didn't cut us open. They didn't look as if they were going to bombard us. The Andy Leishman, the first save, it's a ball across the box and it's a deflection in. It wasn't as if it cut us open. It's a great save for there. But the turning moment was his second save. I think if Kyle Folds is going through 1-on-1, Andy's coming out to him. My opinion, if Kyle goes to the side, I think he taps it into an empty net because of the way Andy's coming out. But it's a great save, and Talbot got a lift for that. And then within minutes, they scored one. Brilliant goal. And our good pal there scores the second. And then I think they were talking about, Meadow were this flat. And I think their heads just went down. They were like, we're bait here. And because they hadn't created chance after chance, I couldn't see them even getting a chance at goal. Never mind scoring and run over the top. And brilliant into the next round, as Marc says, a wee trip away through to Edinburgh way out to Preston. So delighted, absolutely delighted.
Brilliant. We are going to dissect the Scottish Cup later on in the week in the Scottish Football Show Extra. But we're going to take a look at what's been happening in the SPFL this weekend. It's been a very busy week, a lot been going on. The Premiership, we'll start off with the 3 games on Saturday. We'll start with Aberdeen 0, St Johnstone 1. First league win of the season for St Johnstone, held on well. Former Aberdeen striker Stevie May get the winning goal. Wilson, no wins in 8 games for Aberdeen. You've mentioned before, and Rory's mentioned it as well, about the pressure maybe mounting on Stephen Glass. Do you think that's valid after this weekend? It's another poor result for Aberdeen.
Absolutely, and it's merited. I always think that, when you look at the results, they haven't been great. Performances in Europe, League Cup, etc. But I think you saw yesterday Stephen Glass's interview with the BBC after the game, and it shows you the pressure is mounting. I kind of saw a couple of times last year, Jack Ross was a wee bit the same when Hibs were under the cosh a wee bit in games and losing semi-finals. They start to react to the reporters if it's their fault for asking questions. So yeah, I would agree that Stephen Glass is under pressure because he's made a few signings. He's been given a few quid to get people in. He can talk, and I'm going to touch on this when it comes to analysis of other games. Talk about a brand of football. I'm sure everyone would like to have a brand of football, but if you don't have the players that can play your brand of football, then you're in big trouble. you need to adapt to what your players can actually do rather than trying to give them something that they can't do. And I do think Stephen Glass is under big pressure.
Charlie, what was your thoughts in St Johnstone's 1-0 victory over Aberdeen?
Yeah, I'm going to back up what Mark says there 100%. The managers come in and say the brand of football, but it's getting the players for that side of things. I don't know what the brand of football Stephen Glass is trying to play, because it's not as if it's fast-flowing football where it's chance after chance after chance.
Is it glass ball? Maybe.
The glass is maybe going to smash there. But yeah, and you're right. Put under pressure, managers react, and all of a sudden, a simple question from a reporter can be took right out of a context in there. But I said last time I was on with these guys, I think you'll see a difference in St Johnstone when they go out of Europe, because I don't think they had the squad to cope with the Thursday, Sunday. Now they're out, I think you'll see St Johnstone kicking on big time now. And again, they defended well, and they take their chance. It's a bit of a kind of sclaff goal. Could the goalkeeper have maybe done better? But they take the 3 points and they move on. And Glass needs to get not just a performance and a result, but 3, 4, 5 on the bounce.
Shankers, obviously Aberdeen losing at home's a big result for, obviously a big newsworthy result, but you've got to give credit to St Johnstone for the victory. What was your overall thoughts in the game? Would you kind of go along with what the guys say?
As Charlie said, we just have to back up what both of them have been saying. Aberdeen's going through a real tough time now, and see when you're in that place where you kind of seem to find a win, you don't know where the next win's coming from, and things don't go your way. Sometimes when you're on a winning run, you get a wee bit of luck and everything goes your way, and it's always the opposite when you're down there and you're losing games or drawing games and nothing seems to be going your way. And for a team like Aberdeen, they have to be up. Third place has got to be their aim season after season, and if they're not thereabouts, it just shows how good a job Derek McInnes done year in, year out with Aberdeen, and I don't think he was appreciated enough by probably the supporters now, and maybe the supporters will look back and think it's a case of be careful what you wish for, because they all wanted him at the club for a poor run of form, and now the new manager's come in and he's trying a brand of football, as Wilson and Charlie says, that the players that he's got maybe aren't capable of it, and maybe just have to get back to basics and try and get going a wee run and pick up points as much as they can. But they're in a sticky spot, and if they keep this run going, then I think he could end up losing his job. I think it's one of the ones that they want to stay persistent with him and keep him until things go, and it could end up Scott Brown getting the job or something like that. I don't know how that would work out, but he certainly needs to start picking up points and doing it quickly.
Wilson, we've touched on this before about Stephen Glass. Obviously, it's his first kind of big job in management, but he's obviously been not maybe promoted from within, but obviously the Aberdeen had the connection to Atlanta. He was there as a coach. Do you think that'll buy him a bit more time, the fact that he's kind of already been associated with the club and the club kind of know what he's about? Is that valid? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's certainly valid. And as I say, I was going to touch on this later on. You know, as Mark said about expectations for Aberdeen finishing third, semi-finals, cup finals, whatever. Are Aberdeen fans in the same boat as Celtic fans? How long do you get for a plan? Because if you went to Aberdeen and say, we're going to get Stephen Glass in with this 5-year plan, Aberdeen fans will be thinking, well, wait, hold the bus here. Exactly the same. And I've touched on the show many, many times about a Celtic fan's going to give the same amount of time to Postecoglou that Rangers fans gave Steven Gerrard.
I was going to touch that with you later on. But
nothing to show for it. I don't think so. I think, and as I say, he's a young manager, let's get the new guys in, let's see their ideas, etc. But if something's broken, it needs fixed. And Aberdeen, I don't think, can afford to be even thinking about finishing in the bottom 6, because they're not exactly, they're not as if they're beating everybody else and losing to the old firm. They're losing to teams that you would expect them to beat, especially at home. Yeah. So, as I say, I think they would possibly, depending on, where they are, but I would think, if they're not sitting 3rd, 4th, 5th by the new year, then I think a possible change could be made.
We'll move on to the game at Easter Road. Hibs 2, St Mirren 2. Eamon Brophy gave St Mirren the lead before Hibs get back in front with McGinn and Boyle from the spot before Joe Shaughnessy scored their equaliser for St Mirren. Charlie, Hibs looked tired, I would say. They didn't play overly well. Obviously, a bit of brilliance with Scott Allen gets them back into the game, and then it's a contentious penalty, we'll say that. I think it is a penalty, but I can see the case for it not being. What was your overall thoughts in the game? Was it a fair result in the end, do you think?
When you look at it from a neutral point of view, yes, a 2-2 draw for there. But if you look at it from the fact you're a Hibs supporter, Hibs had a problem last season with home form, and it looks as if it's going to be the same again. And what you'll find more often than not is Hibs will play on the Saturday with the chance of going top because of the European football for the Old Firm. And if they can't take that, okay, once is a slip up, but it's 2, 3 and 4, again, it then becomes a bit of a noose round your neck. And probably this is the first time that an opportunity to go out and batter St Mirren and win comfortably shows everybody we're okay at home now. But as it longer it goes on, crowd are thinking, oh no, here we go again from that point. They didn't look as flowing and as what they have been, again with the big names up front. I just thought, yeah, that would be a good thing to say, Scott. They did look tired, but look tired from what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Shankers, we'll mention Scott Allen as well. Obviously, great to see him back in a football park after all he's been through, obviously with his heart problems and things like that. It's a bit of brilliance for Scott. It's a brilliant pass to play in Paul McGinn, who scores an excellent goal. Did you kind of think as well that Hibs maybe looked tired, and how kind of pleased by you to see Scott Allen back kind of doing what he does?
Scott Allen's a player I've always liked, and years ago when he was linked with Rangers, he was one of the ones that was in favour for it, because I think he would have suited the Rangers team at the time. It's just good to see him back, and he's probably one of the few players that is capable of that kind of type of pass. There's only I'm not saying few players, but there is only probably in say Hibs team. He's probably the only one of the ones. Him, maybe the boy in the middle that used to be at St Mirren. What's his name? McGuinness. I think they two are probably two of the only kind of players that are capable of seeing a pass like that. So don't get me wrong, you still have to finish it off, and it's finished off wonderfully for McGinn. But I think now Scott Allen will be looking at watched his interview, and the manager is going to be thinking, right, we need to work a way to get him into this team now, because if he's the one that can get on the ball and unlock passes, and if he's getting his bit in front of him, I think how many goals he'll score with Scott Allen seeing passes in behind for him. But I'm struggling again. A lot of teams up the top dropping points this weekend. We'll come on to it later on. But St Mirren probably worthy a point. Don't think it is a penalty. I agree 100% it's a penalty, but I think that goes on in most games every single week. So
it happens at the other end as well, and that's probably a penalty as well.
That was maybe more blatantly obvious than some, but there is pushing and pulling every single week. So where is the boundary? How far does it go? If as soon as you get your arms around somebody, are you going to have to give a penalty, or does it have to get to the point where you're pulling them to the ground or something like that? This happens a lot, and some are given and some aren't given, so it is a bit of a hard one. But I think it is a penalty because how blatantly obvious it is. But it does happen a lot in most games at all levels of football. So it's just where the boundary is for what is deemed a penalty and what is the kind of thing.
Do you think they are both penalties, Charlie?
Yeah. Yes.
They are both. I thought that as well, because you can't really separate those incidents, can you? That's what I kind of wonder about these. How do you get them so different?
The thing that gets me is, why do you need a jersey pull?
I know.
Your automatic reaction is, I'm out of position, the guy's got a yard on me, my natural reaction is to pull him back. Also, when you see the second one, Porteous is cute, but he draws the attention into it, and he gets yellow carded, but he still keeps and what you see as well is Porteous then wraps his arm round about and and effectively to say, look, I'm trying to get away from him, and he's basically rugby tackling him for that point. I'm all right with players locking arms and going together because you're both at it. But as soon as you wrap it round about, there's only one thing in your mind that you're trying to do. You're trying to stop him getting that yard over the top, and the shut pull as well. There's no part of football for shut pull, and it doesn't say a wee shut pull or a big shut pull. No part of it. So for me, the penalties, yeah.
Wilson, obviously, we'll ask your thoughts on the referee's decision for the 2 penalties. But yeah, your old pal Jim Goodwin, he's out again with a wee rant about the referees. That must be music to your ears.
Absolutely, because they're all absolutely hopeless. Except Charlie. Now again, Shanker's 100% right. You know, if it happens 100 times in a game, there'll be 100 penalties. And as Charlie definitely touched on, you know, Portis is cute with it. You know, he brings attention to himself because you're thinking, how else are they going to stop me as such without fouling me? So, yeah, both penalties for me as well. What I would say with Hibs, though, again, big game again for Hibs. Can't do it. Same as semi-finals and finals. They have a kind of phobia. As Charlie says, we're going top of the league, etc. So, nah, and I think with Hibs now, I mean, I went through to Easter Road to watch Kilmarnock in the Cup against them. It wasn't, but it did. I mean, I could see the gap. They were a Premier League team in you know, Kelly Allen. But I think if you can nullify Boyle, then Hibs are average at best. I mean, I know Nisbet scores goals, but see if somebody up big physical against him, amazes me to see him in the Scotland squad sometimes. It really does. I think at the time when Scotland were kind of toiling for strikers, obviously Naismith was kind of getting to the end. Griffiths his head was blown up at Celtic. Then you had like Shankland, Nisbet, Brophy, and no offence, none of them are international class for me.
We word for St Mirren as well, Wilson. It's a good point for them. Like they must be kind of. Jim Goodwin kind of said they weren't pleased with a point, but obviously Brophy, it's a good finish for Brophy as well. I know it takes a deflection, but he does really well for the goal.
That's what, and I think that's where Brophy strives a bit because he obviously played up front in his own at Kilmarnock, you know, and he likes to play up front in his own, and that's what he does. He shuffles his feet and hits a shot. Now he's going to score 1 out of 10, you know, but that one, you know, will count. I think the keeper could have done a lot better than he did, to be fair, as well. Decent goal.
So Man struggled to score goals last season. So going away to Easter Road and scoring 2, you're probably thinking on that side of things we maybe even win the game with that.
I'm still not convinced about St Mirren this year. I think they've signed a lot of players. I just don't know if they've kind of gelled quickly, but that's maybe a wee starting point for them, getting a point yesterday.
Yeah, and there's another game on Saturday that took place at finishing a 2-2 draw. Ross County against Hearts. Hearts took the lead through Liam Boyce, who's a former Ross County player before. Blair Spittle get 2 goals to bring Ross County into the lead before Kingsley with a brilliant free kick. Shankers was that a kind of deserved point for Ross County, but how can I thought Hearts played excellent, but again we're a bit sloppy. We'll come on to another team later on who I felt were the same, but Ross County, a great point for Ross County. It's been a hard start, but that must be a big point they'll take for that.
Aye, definitely. I think all the game, Ross County, they're obviously the home side, but the Hearts have been doing pretty well this season, so they probably took a point before the game. But going up 2-1, they'd probably be disappointed not to come away with 3. But it's hard to argue with Kingsley's free kick. It's a moment of magic to make the point. I watched Boyce's goal, and then I know he played with Ross County and that, but he's didn't like sorry and all that because he scored. I absolutely hate that, man. No a fan of that at all.
Would you have done that if he'd scored against them the Scottish Cup game?
Aye, that's what I did. I would be tapping shorts and everything. I didn't even score the goal and I was running by them with the hand at the I'm not a fan of that. Like, I know he was a good servant to Ross County and then scored a lot of goals in that for them, but in our team now, score a goal and go and celebrate like everybody else. But Hearts have been doing pretty well so far. They were bringing up there expecting to get all 3 points, but point it's probably a fair reflection of the game and end up, and Ross County will take a point and get on with it. They'll be scrapping for points every game this season, so every point will count for them. That's for sure.
Wilson, what was your thoughts on Ross County 2, Hearts 2?
Yeah, I'm always gutted, when Hearts get any points, to be honest. But it pains me even more when Boyce scores, because Rory's tipped him to be top scorer, whereas I tipped him, and now I'm slaughtering them. Rory tipped Boyce to be top scorer, aye. So that upsets me a wee bit when he scores. But yeah, I always just think, I think maybe twice when I was doing a wee bit of coaching, went to Dingwall, and I just think, you got there, you think you would delight it with a point, because it takes you 3.5 weeks to get there and 6.5 weeks home. It's a lovely place, don't get me wrong, but wow, what a journey. And as I say, maybe not just now, but see, December, January, February, getting up there, even if it's midweek, you're happy with a point regardless of how you play. But it was a good game. It was a decent game to watch, and it's a lovely wee serum, because again, the smaller thing, but the crowd's on top of you as well, and Hearts always take a good support. So I think a draw was a fair result.
Charlie, what was your thoughts in the Ross County Hearts game? Was that a fair result in the end?
I think, again, sitting in the fence with the neutral last spot, yes, Ross County will be absolutely delighted to get the not so much give the game away. It was as much as it was a good free kick. I thought the goalkeeper positioned himself at the wrong side of the ball. I thought it was crying out for a left footer to go that side, and I thought he would have set up the wall the other side and took it across with him for there. Ross County will be delighted. It steadies the pressure on Malky, so he'll be taking a lot of positives from there. Hearts, I think Hearts will be raging. Middle to front, they're a good team.
They played well.
Their defence at the moment is leaking, and apart from the first game of the season, I don't think that if they kept a clean sheet, I might be proved wrong. But I think the defence at the moment might have just been the Hibs game. Might have just been the Hibs game, but the defence is a wee bit rocking, because Ross County's goals were no really great goals, and you've got 4 or 5 men behind the ball, and it's just it's a shot. Twice they're just shots in the ball, and they're a good strike into the corner, but their defenders are there to go and push and face it for there. So I think Hearts will be really disappointed that they've come away from. And I love the expression. It's a difficult place to go. It's a difficult place to go, and they've got quality in their team. They're sitting second bottom. Where's Ross County's quality? And that's what I love about managers coming out and difficult place to go in quality. So Hearts will be raging. Ross County will be delighted.
We will move. I was just looking back, trying to refresh. I remember Kingsley's free kick. I was just looking at the goalie's position. He's actually set up a wall and then stood behind it.
He's positioned it across the other side, which I can't. He's almost shown Kingsley where to hit it, isn't he? That is baffling. Like.
We'll move into Sunday. We'll start off with the Dundee derby. Dundee United 1, Dundee 0. Hearts with the late goal. Charlie, it was a poor game. It was a pretty kind of non-event until the last 10 minutes where it really got going. Hearts with the winning goal. Probably Dundee United just did deserve the win after that, but it wasn't a great Dundee derby, was it?
No, first half littered with fouls. Got a lot of 50-50 challenges, a lot of good hard challenges, a lot of good professional fouls for that point of view. So half time, both delighted to be nothing each for there. Again, Hearts gets the ball out of his feet, takes it away and gets a shot. The Dundee left back, I think, could have come in and blocked it. See, when you saw a lot of his teammates throwing their bodies in the line, and I thought he could have done it. Maybe the goalkeeper had got a better hand on it for there. But I'm going to actually praise McPike. McPike made a decision, and he took off McGowan and brought on Cummins to go and try and win the game.
Yeah.
And it unfortunately backfired on him. But he's sitting there, and you can see the conversation he's had, and he says, Kim, what? We'll just go for it. We'll go for it. And unlucky. Rather than just sit in and take it. But in saying that, Dundee had 2 quality chances right in the last 10 minutes when, again, boys on the line, clearing it off the line. And again, not very often you say Charlie made a brilliant tackle, but what's his name? I forgot his second name.
Edwards?
No, Edwards clears it off the line, but Charlie Mulgrew makes a great tackle as well to stop it for there. So Dundee United will be delighted. to get it because it's bragging rights in the town. But I think Dundee will just be unlucky. But credit to McPike for making the decision to go for it.
Yeah, Wilson, both teams well structured, trying not to kind of concede, obviously just hoping for a bit of luck, and Dundee United got it, but it was kind of that kind of game, wasn't it? It was just whoever kind of gets a bit of luck will win the game.
Yeah, well, neither manager will be saying about the quality on show, because that was certainly a part that was turgid to watch, to be honest. The only thing I could have touched on, was what about Griffiths' free kick at the end? What on earth are they thinking in the 90th minute? You put everyone forward, you know what I mean? You're just thinking, just put it in the box, bit of height, bit of pace, take a 50-50. He sklanks into the side net, a wee bit of sclaff like Shankers one yesterday. And I just thought that kind of summed it up. Now again, Charles made an interesting point. James McPake took the gamble and went for it, but they still lost the game. And I'm not saying if he didn't make that substitution, he would have lost. But I always think, especially being the away team, I would have thought maybe just camp out, maybe bring on an extra midfielder or something and just go with the one up top, to try and see the game out. But maybe, I mean, James McPake knew that maybe the game was there for the taking, but they still lost the game. But it was absolutely rubbish to watch. Let's move on for that.
We'll give Shankers a word on it quickly. Shankers, give us your thoughts on Dundee United 1, Dundee 0.
I actually didn't think it was as bad a game as what they're making it. I didn't mind. I thought, like Mulgrew and that, kind of making last-ditch blocks and stuff like that. I think there was quite a few chances.
It was an old-fashioned derby, wasn't it?
It was. And if it was not in each, if it finished 0-0, I would actually have been disappointed, because I thought the game did deserve a few goals. I'm not saying it was a wonderful game, a masterclass or anything like that, but I didn't think it was a bad game to watch, although it was only like a 1-0 game. But Dundee United probably had the better chances in the second half, and probably disappointed not to score a goal. But I was actually disappointed with the goalie for the Dundee United goal.
I thought he could have done better as well.
When I watched it like in live, I thought it went straight in the corner, but I didn't realise he's actually got two hands to it and it's still went in the net. So I think for him, he'll be a bit disappointed with that. I thought when Charlie was saying about Paul McGowan, I thought James McPake just subbed him off because he's hairdo. That is absolutely atrocious, and somebody in the team needs to have a word with him, or even if he falls asleep in the right-hand Dingwall or something, they just need to shave that up. Absolutely atrocious. It looks like the fairway after I hit a 5-iron.
We'll move into the next game that took place on Sunday. There was obviously two games, but we'll touch on the first one. Livingston 1, Celtic 0. Andy Shinnie gives Livingston their first League One of the season. Celtic obviously fought with a third away defeat after 3 away games, which, Wilson, I'll start with you. Give us your overall thoughts on both sides. We'll start with Livingston. Obviously, it's a massive result for them.
Well, Livingston are rubbish, and they're bottom of the league because they are rubbish. I think Martindale, kind of led on the crest of a wave last year when Gary Holt left, and he did, to be fair, did very, very well. This year, again, he's not started the best. I know he picked up a point at Dundee last week, and then today, obviously, it's a great result, but don't be kidded on that Livingston were good. This was how Celtic were atrocious, absolutely atrocious, and this isn't going to be a turning point for Livingston, and they're going to go, in a wee run and Livingston are the worst team in the SPL. There's absolutely no doubts about that. But as I say, I know, and they deserve the credit for the result. Let's be honest, but Celtic are an absolute shambles, absolute shambles, and they can play as many games in Europe and qualifiers, etc. in midweek. But
was it a European? Was it a sort of European hangover kind of thing? Like, was there that?
I always think that way. Any team has that. Even just with the kind of travel. I mean, I know it's only Spain or whatever. I always do think that's an effect. I always used to think it used to happen quite a lot. They would play on a Thursday or a Wednesday, whatever it was, and the Old Firm game would be after it.
Yeah.
And the standard of the Old Firm game after a European game was never as good as it would be.
That happened just at that one there. One at Ibrox, and the game wasn't really the greatest either. So
I do think that's an impact, but I'm sorry, you're not telling me that Celtic don't have enough to go to Livingston, and don't be starting their nonsense about blaming the pitches and all this carry on. It's unacceptable, and I know we had a wee chat about it earlier on about Celtic's bench. If that is what Celtic are offering, I would like to know where the 60,000 season ticket holders money in, if that's what they can put in our bench today. Because that bench wouldn't win the league at the Power League on a Monday night.
But that's a thing though. If he's looking for a goal, nobody on that bench is going to get it.
The only forward-thinking player is Mikey Johnson, who wouldn't even get a game at the Power League for any of the teams, because he's absolutely terrible, that kid, and he always has been terrible. So it's embarrassing for Celtic, but again, this isn't a one-off. This is 3 defeats in 6 games.
You think though there's potentially there's 2 sides to Celtic. I know we've touched on this before. That going forward, we've seen how good they can be. They've scored some terrific goals, but they're always going to give goals away. Just with this, we saw it on Thursday night. Brilliant going forward. Go 2-0 up, lose 4 goals. Is that how Celtic? Is that how Celtic are? Like, I don't know. It's a really bad mistake.
This was the same last season as well. Defence was so poor. And they can give as much grief to the likes of Greg Taylor, etc., as they want. And that's what I was going to touch on when we mentioned about Stephen Glass. The myth that is Ange Ball is, if you don't have the players, yes, you can buy into a system, but see if you can't do it, then don't do it. And it's showing you what a miss Kyogo is. I know they scored a few goals against Betis, but let's be honest, they were poor as well. But I think this must be Celtic's worst starting, since the Brady Macari era.
I think it is actually. I think it is Macari.
50% win rate in the league. Again, I know they're only 4-5 points behind. But again, it wasn't particularly a poor starting 11. Roglic played, Turnbull played.
Ball and goalie was a strange one.
Unbelievable. If the Celtic fans are criticising Greg Taylor for his performances, do you know what I mean? Let's see them go in this. And as I say, and I touch back on what we mentioned with Stephen Glass earlier, Angie isn't going to get 3 or 4 years to get this right. I'm quite confident he'll get another 10 to 15 million probably to spend in January. But see if he's 15, 20 points behind, they're not going to give him that money till the season. And are Celtic happy to sit and wait 56, 57, 58 before they get the league title back? I wouldn't be surprised.
But do you think though there's a big thing, a big kind of he'll get that support because of? I think the fans have fell in love with him. Would you agree with that? I think they have. They've got to give the guy a chance. And they know how bad the situation was to get a manager.
It's a results-based business.
Right. I agree.
So Angie can be the greatest coach, the greatest fella, the nicest fella in the world, and I think he is. I think he comes across really, really well.
Yeah, definitely.
He calls people out. He doesn't take any nonsense. But it's results and now performances like that I'm sorry, they are completely unacceptable for Celtic. And I know you can have a wee one-off game, but it's not a one-off game, it's like 3 defeats. And I really, really don't know, how Celtic's going to pan out. I tipped Rangers at the start of the season because when we were doing the predictions, Celtic didn't have a manager. But home wins against Dundee and St Mirren playing Ange Ball isn't cutting it, to challenge for the league title. I'm sorry.
Shankers, what was your thoughts in the Livingston 1 Celtic now? Was it a shock? Obviously it was a shock, but what was your kind of thoughts on it? I was trying to say is that a shock that when Livingston went 1-0 up, Celtic just couldn't get the goal?
I was. You were almost just waiting, and once you get the first one, then the second and the third would come. But they've played to Livingston, they've had a game plan, and if the manager's actually it's worked in his favour, of course, because Andrew Shinnie's he's put him up front himself. He's not a striker. He's a midfielder, probably plays in the middle of the park, and David Martindale's probably just says, right, he's experienced, he's played at a decent level. He's probably thought, right, I'll stick you up front yourself, put yourself about, use your experience, and don't get me wrong, he's an absolute great finish, left foot into the top corner. But I was just waiting on the goal for Celtic, and you can have as much possession as as you want in games, but you have to put the ball in the back end of it. And people, as Wilson says, we were talking about earlier, when I looked and when I seen it was 1-0, and I'm thinking, who has Celtic got to bring on? I looked at their bench and it's nowhere near good enough for.
I know you can blame injuries and things like that, but
you can blame injuries and stuff like that. But Celtic brought in, I think it was something like 12 or 13 players in the summer there.
Yeah.
And the bench is still looks absolute bare minimum. Maybe Sorrow, Beaton, etc. have been there for a few years, and you could say they're starters as well. But Celtic doing 1-0, I'm looking at 2 or 3 players that you can bring on and change the game and flip it in your head, and they didn't have that at all. And it is slightly worrying in that part, but three away games in the league and 3 defeats is worrying for Celtic, and it's all right playing this good football as well as says at home to St Mirren and that, and that's the thing we're touching on the British game. I think more Ange's pride cost Celtic during the week by when they went up 2-0, instead of saying right up 2-0, we'll sit in, take a see even if they come back to 2 each, a draw wouldn't be the worst result over there. But if you're up 2-0 and you go and lose 4 goals, I think his pride is cost him the result more than anything, because he's saying right, we're up 2-0, we're not going to stop playing the way we're playing. It's not as if they had to go for the game. Two goals are away from home, and I know they've got up 2-0 playing that way, but for me, if I'm a manager, I got 2-0 away from home in Europe, I'm like, right, game management now. Get the heads in the game, concentrate fully. Don't need to be throwing committing bodies forward and stuff like that, going for the juggler because you're up 2-0. And I think his pride cost Celtic midweek in Europe, and I think it could happen in some of the league games as well. Maybe the tighter ones, like away to Easter Road, Tynecastle, Pittodrie, rather than going and try and get, if you're up 2-0, going and try and go 3, 4, 5, and it could end up costing them by throwing too many bodies and maybe playing the one style of play. But we'll see.
I don't think, Shankers, I don't think, not even necessarily the tactics, but he doesn't have the personnel to go and sit in the Premier League. You know, the weakest part of Turnbull's game's defending. The weakest part of Rodgett's game's defending. You know what I mean? And that's why they couldn't do that. And
what was McCarthy like?
4-year contract.
Was he unfit, or was it?
I get what I never seen the game. Obviously, it wasn't on the telly, but I get told he was giving the ball away a lot, he misplaced passes, stuff like that. And you can maybe give him the benefit of the doubt. It's his kind of first start, and he's missed out a lot of football in the past few years. But for somebody that's played at the level he's played at, you're expecting him to be dictating the types of games for me. And for what I heard, because I never seen the full game, I've seen the highlights, but I never seen the full game. And you're expecting him to come in. If Callum McGregor's no there, he's the next one you're looking at to get the game. Celtic's doing 1-0, get the game, the scruff of the neck, and give the boys a kind of G up. And for what I heard, it wasn't really a good performance. It wasn't a good performance for any of them. Of course, they lost 1-0, but especially him. But Celtic will just be looking for a wee shake and a wee jag and try and go and pick up more results again.
Charlie, we knew obviously when Postecoglou came in, it was going to be a sort of transitional season. They would need to get a new team and things like that. Celtic should still have enough to go and beat Livingston away from home.
You would think so. But when you're starting effectively with your third and fourth striker who you would want to do it, then it becomes a whole different ball game, because I'm sure John Kennedy and Gavin Strachan would have told Postecoglou Livingston are going to sit in. So even we go away from home, 9 times out of 10, they're going to sit in. So we have to have these quality players to break them down, to stretch the game and take it with regards to there.
I'd be
Celtic
surprised if Strachan knew that.
Yeah, Celtic hadn't won at Livingston in their last 5 visits, or they haven't got a result.
I think it's longer than that. I think it's
3 years. I think it's 3 years.
So maybe the wee stadium, the thing there, it's psychological with regards to there. But you'll come better than me, guys. When you're looking at 70 minutes and you turn to the bench and you think to yourself, I need a goal here, but who am I you're right. You've highlighted that it's defensive midfielders that are on the bench who are not going to create that wee bit of guile. Yeti had a chance. He pulled it with regards to there. The Livingston goalkeeper a couple of good saves and that aspect. But you're right. If you're looking at it and you're saying to yourself, Livingston away from home, we should be going there and getting maybe not winning 3 and 4 and 5 nothing, but you should be maybe winning 2-1 with regards to there. But back to the point that Mark had made, maybe that's why I had a couple of bad games, was I was coming back for Europe midweek and then turning up on the Saturday and the Sunday.
That was a couple of bad seasons, pal. So we're all right. I would like to think they players weren't out in the lash after the game. You were.
He was able to afford it.
How did we get home sometimes? That's what I wonder.
Left James McFadden in Korea, whatever it was.
We'll move on to...
Well, Postecoglou, well, he'll get the time, he'll get the concept. Mark was saying about 20 million in the January window with regards to there. But it's what's that 20 million going to get you?
But as Wilson said, it is results. It's a result, especially in Glasgow.
I said 10 to 15, but the problem is he's going to sign 5 or 6 players for that 10 to 15, whereas he needs maybe 2 £7 million players to like a striker and a creative midfielder.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah,
exactly. He needs to go out and have a marquee signing.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? It's going to get bums on seats and try and challenge, but I actually feel the way things are going, and I know Rangers are going to touch on that soon. They're not as good as they were last season. By January, an Old Firm defeat in January could be curtains.
And I don't think 100% agree with you. I don't think Livingston will kick on for this, because when Livingston play the likes of St Johnstone, they're not going to have 8, 10, 9 men behind the ball and take it for that. So I don't think they'll have the players and that to go on and do that. So Martindale made a big statement that they'll still be in the league. Proof's in the pudding, as you say, from that point. But I think they'll be down there fighting all season.
We'll move into the final game of the weekend in the Premiership. Rangers 1, Motherwell 1. Obviously, it was Flag Day at Ibrox. Sakala gave Rangers a lead before Woolery equalised in the second half. Shankers, it was probably the best Rangers had played all season up until maybe 70 minutes, because they were playing some good stuff. But my opinion was quite wasteful in the final third, sloppy in the first third, giving the ball away, making mistakes. Probably sums up Rangers' performance today, I would say.
I thought, I don't know about up to 70 minutes. I thought definitely the first 45. I thought from middle to front, the movement, the interchanging, the front three, one touch passing, we moves and stuff like that. And as you said, you can do all that. You can do that all day if you want. You have to put the ball in the back of the net. At the end of the day, when Rangers scored their first goal, which I will say, and Charlie will hopefully back me up. I thought it was offside.
Offside, aye.
Sakala, you see it from a couple of different angles, and the one from behind the goal confirmed it. When Aribo wins his header, Sakala's standing offside position. I wasn't sure if as soon as Aribo touches it, then he moves into it, but he's standing there. And how a linesman who's standing in line with that can't see that, it just shows you. But Rangers got 1-0, and to be honest, I was expecting them to go and get another 2-3 goals, but wasteful in the final third. Too many times going side to side. Kamara lost the ball more times than I've ever seen him lose the ball today. I think Stephen Davis, first half was brilliant. Second half, Rangers were, you said, very wasteful, putting deep balls in for. They kind of stopped doing what they did in the first half. They were going through them. It was more kind of panicky. It was more direct, and Tavernier's putting crosses in for wide areas, but 30 yards deep, in line with the 18-yard box, for almost 10 yards inside his own half and stuff like that. And I just thought they went away for all the good work they did in the first half, just half time, just went without the wind. And you probably will say Motherwell were worthy at that point for that hard work. And at 1-0, the opposition's always in the game. And as long as they're always in the game, they're a danger. And I thought the defending for Rangers' goal was shambles, to be honest. for something to Barisic too slow.
There's some gap between the centre halves, isn't there?
There is. They were all over the place. They were strung out, and later on in the game, when it went one each, I didn't think Rangers were coming back into it. They were panicking at 1-0 attacking. They were throwing balls in all over the place. They weren't sticking to what they were doing in the first half. And when it went one each, you could have blown the full time whistle then, because Rangers weren't scoring. There was no clear cut chances. I can't believe the manager left it as late to make a change in the second half. I thought Gers was one of the ones where if he sees the standards of performance dropping after 10 minutes, he'd be like, all right, I need a change to put somebody on and kind of get the tempo in that back, and it just never happened. It just wasn't Rangers' day today, but they'll be looking at it as a point gained now because of Celtic dropping points, but it should have been taking 3 points and opening up the gap. But disappointing day overall.
Charlie, what was your thoughts in Rangers 1-1 draw with Motherwell? Motherwell discipline picked up a well-earned point, but Rangers could
how many
have
times
done better.
Yeah, how many times do you see these flag days falling flat in their face?
Aye,
and everything gets all wiped up. And
they said it before the game. I think it was the last time Rangers won the league.
Yeah, they drew one each with Hearts.
They lost. They lost or drew on the first day. It's all set up for them, and they
yeah, the goal's offside, and it's a poor decision because the guy is standing in the goalkeeper all the time. The hardest decision for an assistant referee is when the striker and defender cross over. One's going one way, but I always give the benefit of doubt for that. But that's an easy decision for the assistant. The only thing I could maybe even offer is has Aribo in the front post blocked his view, but looking at it and scrutinising it, no, it's a poor decision. It should have been chopped off. Credit to Alexander, 4-3-3, matching up, going for it with regards to that. I think Graham Alexander will be the first manager suspended for picking up 8 cautions. And for there, again, he picks up a yellow card for his protest from that. I thought there was a shout for a penalty for both teams in the game as well. But again, is it the fringe players? These guys will be training day in, day out with them. So it's not as if you're flinging them into a new setup or whatever. They should be training to play 4-3-3 or whatever with regards to there. The back four, there was only the one change, was Simpson. Very, very out of place for the goal. So it's not as if there was massive changes with regards to that. But again, they were flat. Sometimes, as you'll know, when you give the ball away, it's not always the guy that's on the ball's problem. There's no movement or nothing. They never created in the second half as many as what in the first half for there. So, and again, I'm a believer of somebody's got an ear on what's happening. And I think at half time, they would have knew that they could scores and let's go for it. But they just didn't show that. They didn't go for it for there. So it's because of the results. Yeah, I agree with what Shankers has said there, Ken. As much as it's a point, but it could have been the 3 aspect.
Wilson, I've got a theory that this Rangers team potentially are mentally tired from the season they had last season. Has there validity to that?
Well, it shows you how poor they are when they don't get help from the referees and the linesmen. I think that's the first thing. You know, it was a dubious penalty last week, and then an offside goal this week has got them kind of 4 points. And there's no surprise there. You know, self-confessed Rangers fan Stephen McLean reffing the day. So that doesn't surprise me. And I'm not surprised Graham Alexander gets booked, because that's probably what we'll be talking about. Whereas when they go into Europe and they play against European teams that don't care about the Rangers' history and all that, they don't quite seem to get things their own way, and their disciplinary record, etc. in Europe's very poor, as are the results. So yes, it's offside, but obviously not surprised that the goal was given, especially with 20,000 bears in the Govan stand shouting at the referee, all sorts. So
even McLean's a Kilmarnock fan because of his dad. And he's
well, I could tell. I mean, his dad's a lovely man, Stuart, a lovely man, but certainly not a Kilmarnock fan. I can tell you that. But going on in the game, yeah, as I say, Rangers got 1,000, through the week as well, and I would note that they were chasing the ball all the time. Leon are a very good team, and that saps it out of you, help dents confidence. But I'll go back, and Rory Loy continues to laugh at me every time I mention it. I think the problem for a lot of these Rangers players is the crowd. The crowd are on their backs when it's no 3-4-0, and some of these players can't handle it. Tavernier, I only saw brief highlights. Tavernier was a nervous wreck.
I was. I said
it. Nervous wreck. And I know he hits penalties, free kicks, etc. But is his performances and his return better than it was at this stage last year? I bet you it isn't. Goals is another one. I don't think fancies 50,000 folks shouting at him either. And as I say, it was a wee bit flat, but yeah, I'm putting it down just the exertions in Europe again for Rangers. As I say, it now looks like a point gained, obviously, because Celtic lost. But your theory, what was your theory?
I think Rangers have put so much into last season that they're potentially mentally tired this year.
No,
I think that's nonsense. A good team can win a league. A great team can retain it.
But they are. You can see they're not as quick passing the ball. Thursday night they weren't as fluent. They aren't as quick on the ball. They aren't as quick getting it forward. I think there is a wee bit of merit to it. I'm going to stand by it.
Well, of course you'll think that. I'm absolutely. I can understand the point. I don't agree with it, but I can understand why you would think that, because I said, at this stage probably last year, I think this season in Scottish football could be as flat as anything.
I'm beginning to agree with you, because
it was going to be 10, it was going to be 55, whatever it was going to be.
And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm kind of thinking as well. Was Gerrard kind of thinking, if I don't win this season, I might be out of a job, kind of thing? Was there that kind of wee thing as well?
I think there was that possibility, but I think if it had been 10 in a row, I think you'd have seen a massive clear out at Rangers.
Yeah, definitely.
10 to 15 different players in, whereas obviously Rangers done brilliant, to go in undefeated through the league season. And you've seen Celtic's reaction. I mean, it must only be Callum McGregor there. Well, obviously your Mikey Johnson, James Forrest, etc. that don't really play, but I do. Yeah, I take your point on board, but I don't think the gap's closing in terms of Motherwell were good, etc. Scott, it was at pains to say that Motherwell had one shot on target, so 100% record that is, Scott, just in case.
Yeah, no, definitely they took their chance well. It was
I do think, and I think in years gone past as well, again, probably before your time, Rangers had very, very good players, and playing in Europe on a Wednesday as it probably was then, they could cope because they were very good players playing the Saturday as well. Whereas the standards kind of so low. Like, I mean, I can remember Rangers, no playing Alan McCoist in midweek games, in Europe. So, because he would always score on the Saturday against the Scottish opposition, and that's where they are. Whereas Rangers have a decent in-depth squad, but there's still a lot. Scott Wright's probably never played Thursday, Sunday before in his life, since he was at the Scouts or something. So
you're talking about stats. Rangers had 24 shots and 7 were in target.
Was Ryan Christie playing for Rangers? It's a strange one. Yeah. And folk are throwing their boys front of the line and all that, but I do put it down to a lot of these guys playing in Europe now. As I say, Thursday night was a bit of 1,000, and yeah, there is fatigue. And
do you think
Shankers isn't a fan of the boy Simpson anyway coming in? They're playing Balogun, not playing.
He's very raw, Simpson. I would say, you can tell.
Do you think there's too big a gap between the first choice strikers and the bench, and who's on the bench strikers?
Well, I saw a few Rangers fans on Twitter saying today would have been, and they said this a couple of weeks ago as well, today would have been the perfect game for Cedric Eaton to come off the bench and play in. And they've let him go on loan.
Good record against Motherwell.
Physical, win a header, etc. Is that what they were missing? But obviously Morales and Kent are going to be misses because that's Rangers' two main men. But
Morales, come on.
Again, I don't think you can give Motherwell credit because Rangers absolutely horsed them. They got away with a point. They absolutely horsed them, though. So I think it was probably down to Rangers not being clinical enough for not getting all 3 points.
I would have rather Jermaine Defoe was on the bench to come off the bench in a game like that. I mean, I know he's a player coach and he's not featured a lot, but see when Rangers are like that and you're getting all these chances, see if you give Jermaine Defoe 5 chances in a game, he's going to score one of them. Yeah. That's just a matter of fact. So I'm surprised. I think like a game like that, and I don't know how much he's going to feature, whether he'll be playing like League Cup games or Scottish Cup games or whatever. I don't know. I really don't know what the plan is, but
so you laying the blame at Gerrard's door, Shankers, today?
Sometimes the managers got to take. Sometimes managers have got to stand up and say, "I got it wrong." I was saying about McPike there, mate. And sometimes you've got to turn around and say to yourself, "Ken, no, I wish I had started with him or I brought him on at half time."
You think the referees and the linesmen do that, Charlie? Do you think they'll be?
Hey, there's many times you've got into a dressing room after a game and you've said, "I was shite today," and you hold your hand up and it's a case of just get showered and get away out the road. And it's the big enough man just puts his hand up and says, I was rubbish.
So you're telling me the referees today don't go up the marble staircase and pick up their envelopes?
Never done that, mate. Never done that. Never. They usually come to us
on YouTube and check some performances from C.
They usually come to us. We don't go running after them.
And the envelope's already in the room when you come back into the game.
And the keys
tuck it into his brown shoes.
And the keys to my holiday home in Barbados.
We'll move in to take a look at the Championship. We're just going to fly through these quickly. Dunfermline 0, Inverness 0, Morton 0, Wraith 1, Hamilton 0, Ayr 2, Partick Thistle 0, Killie 2, Queen of the South 0, Arbroath 2. Wilson, give us your rundown of the Championship. What result caught your eye?
Oh, I think there was a few, to be fair. I think it was only Inverness that didn't win away from home.
Yes, that's correct. Right.
So that'd been good for some coupons yesterday. The Killie results obviously very important, and that's what's going to win your leagues when you go to big rivals and win the game. And according to a friend of the show, Mark Roberts' punditry yesterday for Killie TV, it was a thoroughly deserved 3 points. Again, I think, and it absolutely pains me to say, but you have to look at the upturn in Ayr United's fortunes.
I worry for Hamilton a wee bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't win the league.
two wins in a row for Ayr when they changed managers.
Does that give Jim Duffy a chance of getting the job? Or?
I would think so. I mean,
Charlie's shaking his head. Fill us in, Charlie.
Charlie, what's the exclusive?
The problem with Jim is his health.
Right. Was it? I better not touch on that one. Who's Jim Duffy's assistant, Charlie? Do you know who's?
Davy White.
I probably will be, actually.
I don't know. Sorry. No.
He's the Michael Beale of Ayr United, the brains behind the operation.
I heard he's the Ian Beale at Ayr United.
That's Beale.
The Championship is open. As I say, it was good that Inverness dropped points from a Kilmarnock point of view. But what I did here now, again, I heard on the radio on Saturday morning, maybe Friday night, Saturday morning, that the Dunfermline fans were planning a walkout.
Yeah, I heard that.
Because they were bottom of the league. And she was five games in, and they're playing. Where do they expect to be? I thought
a lot of them are not happy because I think the manager had supposedly had a fallout with Dom Thomas and he was kind of getting frozen out. And I think he was actually one of the kind of better players in that. This is just a thing that I was reading online, and they were saying Ken they were actually wanting the manager to go, and so as Ken Dom had come back into the team. I watched the film at Ibrox a week there, and Rangers took 5 or 6 off them, and although you would expect Rangers to do that to a Championship team like Dunfermline, but they were very, very poor. The Rangers scored after about 30 seconds or something like that, or a minute, and that was it, basically, Cotton. So I'm not really too surprised to see them.
Again, results based. I don't think. I mean, Peter Grant didn't do great at Alloa. I got them relegated, then get the Dunfermline job.
It was a strange one.
Very, very strange. And he's a really nice guy. I think he comes across well as well. A good playing key and a good pedigree down south. But obviously the Championship in Scotland's not.
Spent a lot of time with Tony Mowbray, didn't he? With Tony Mowbray at Celtic, I think he was there at West Brom, wasn't he?
Yeah. So Maybe that shows you then why he's getting sacked for Ireland Inferno. But no, I would stick. I think Kelly Partick. I think that's a statement from Kilmarnock after the. They bounced back for the disappointment losing to Inverness. So
a Broth shout out for a.
Oh, definitely.
Every week that's the same. But unfortunately, their bubbles will burst on Friday night. So
they
Kilmarnock away there on Friday night. So
Kilmarnock away there.
Aye,
you getting up, Wilson?
Absolutely, Friday night. Half 8 what? Don't tell my boss. Don't put this out, please. Friday night live reporting. I'm hoping to get hit by a wave at the corner flag.
We'll move into League One. A lot of results to get through there. Airdrie 3, East 5-0, Clyde 2, Queen's Park 2, Falkirk 1, Dumbarton 2, Montrose 0, Alloa 2, Peterhead 0, Cove 1. Shankers, give us your result of the weekend in League One.
It has to be Dumbarton 2, Falkirk 1.
Definitely.
Dumbarton doing pretty well so far, joint top of the league. They
had a really poor start, to be fair. I think they were winless in the first 3 games, if I'm right in saying.
Stevie Farrell is there. He's really turned things around and good on them, because there's Cove, Falkirk, Queen's Park who are all tipped to be up there, and Dumbarton are up there. I know there's only 7 games played, but when you're on that run and you're winning a few games in a row, everything goes your way, and it's good to see them up there and kind of upsetting the odds of the teams who are expected to be up there. So fair play to them, and it would be good to see them up there towards the end of the season, since Stevie Farrell's a local fella to these areas.
Yeah, definitely. League One looks to be
even though he's an ex-Cumnock manager.
League One looks to be very open. There's only 3 points between 1st and 7th, so it's looking to be a very tight league.
That's the thing. If you go on a run of 3 or 4 wins, you're up there. But also, if you go on a run of losing 3 or 4, that could do right down there. So
yeah, we did think it would be a tight league to start with, but we didn't think there'd be as many teams kind of close. But there's 7 teams kind of so far that's started really well. League 2, we'll go through them. Edinburgh City 2, Stirling 2, Albion 0, Kelty 3, Cowdenbeath 1, Forfar 1, Elgin 0, Annan 2, and Stranraer 2, Stenhousemuir 0. Charlie, give us your thoughts in League 2. What was your result of the weekend?
You'll all be shouting for your pal down at Stranraer. For there, but Stenhousemuir are just above them with regards to that side of things. I'm going for Annan. Annan travelling the length of the country and taking a 2-0 with regards to there. Unsavoury things are coming out of Cliftonville again. So for the paper's comments.
Yeah,
that's the second time again.
Lots of unsavoury things going out of Cliftonville. You mean Clifton Hill, Charlie?
That's what I said, Clifton Hill. Did I say Cliftonville? Sorry.
What happened?
Nathan Austin has obviously scored a hat-trick and was subjected to racist abuse. Obviously out of order. Second time, I think Rico Katongo as well was last week. So it's obviously 2 times in the past 2 weeks.
And was that not where David Cox was?
Yes, that was it as well. Yeah,
I think that was a player, certainly wasn't the fans.
He came out for there. Yeah. So I'm going for Annan. Travelling the length of country. And the old cliche, it's a difficult place to go. And they've got quality up there.
They've got quality up there in Elgin. They've got a quality butchers, that's about it.
But that was our look at the SPFL Championship League 1 and League 2. We'll obviously do a Player of the Week on Twitter on Monday morning. We'll come up at what's coming up quickly. We'll look at the 4 games in the League Cup this week. We have Wednesday, Dundee versus St Johnstone. We'll just go through the panel. Give us a prediction for Dundee versus St Johnstone, Wilson.
That's the worst person you could ever ask.
Absolutely. I'm going to curse Callum Davidson again because his name's on the trophy, and you don't tend to see them retain it. I'm going to go 2-0 Dundee. Lee Griffiths with a double.
Ooh, big call. Shankers, who we got?
St Johnstone. I'll go with them. Is that at Dundee?
It's at Dens Park, Dundee.
At Dens Park. I'll go with St Johnstone. They sneak it 1-0 or win it in extra time or penalties or something, if that's what it goes to.
Charlie, Dundee, St Johnstone at Dens Park. Give us a wee prediction.
4 yellow cards, a couple of corners. But there, I'm going St Johnstone 2-0.
I can see St Johnstone winning it tight, maybe even the extra time in penalties, as Shankland says. I just think St Johnstone potentially could just have enough. Rangers versus Livingston, that game I think will be live on Premier Sports.
Mm-hmm.
Wilson, give us a prediction. Rangers versus Livingston. Can Livingston
they'll lie down. They'll lie down. I'm going to go 4-0 Rangers, 2 penalties, 1 sending off.
Couple of offside goals.
Aye. Definitely, absolute 1,000 for Livingston. 1,000. But I'll go Rangers -4. There you go. So anything like that, be an absolute dude.
Shankers, Rangers, Livingston.
I would fancy a wee shake up in the Rangers' team, and Rangers will be going for blood after dropping points today. So they'll be going to make a statement. Some players will be looking to prove a point again after second half performance today. So I'm going to go 3-0 Rangers.
3-0 Rangers. Charlie, Rangers versus Livingston. What is your thoughts?
Did the Rangers go to this stage last year in that trophy? So Gerrard is yet to win a cup. He's yet to win a cup for that side of things. So I think...
Charlie, you'll not go on this show again if you say things like
that. I think he'll really hammer home and wanting to get a good performance and get that monkey off his back, if you use that for the... And Livingston will come and sit in, so I think they'll keep it to about 3-0. Rangers 3-0.
They'll keep it.
I'll go 2-0. 2-0 Rangers. Thursday night, Celtic versus Wraith Rovers. Can Celtic bounce back, Wilson?
I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Again, you need to wait and see. But again, it's a wee bit similar to Gerrard. I don't think Postecoglou can start bringing in guys, youth players, etc., to give them to see how they are. The first team, Wraith will be no mugs. Again, they'll be stuffy. They'll be hard to break down. And John McGlynn is a very good coach and a very good manager. But it's a tough one to call. But I'll go 1-0 Celtic.
Shankers, Celtic versus Wraith at Parkhead.
See, just doing this. Surely, if it's Wraith Rovers involved, Rory Loy will be doing the BBC commentary. I
think he's got Wednesday night.
I saw.
He gets all the Wraith.
But I saw Dermot Desmond coming out saying that all former Rangers players are banned from Parkhead. So Rory hasn't made the cut. You'll have to watch it in the studio.
Was it no if you played a combined amount of minutes over 90? So I think it's all right.
No, I think as if you drove through the gates at Murray Park once and blew up the boys, then that's sure you're
I think Celtic will be comfortable. I agree with Walton. I don't think they'll make too many changes, but I think they'll be comfortable 3 or 4.
Charlie, Celtic versus Wraith.
Did Wraith Rovers not have a great cup victory once over that team back with their
Ibrox? McStay missed the penalty.
That's right.
I think McGlynn's got Wraith playing really, really well. They'll sit behind the ball. It's up to Celtic with regards to go out and play, excite the fans, keep them on their side. I don't think it'll be as easy as that. I'd probably say Celtic maximum 2-0. Maybe even just 1, but maximum 2-0.
I'll go Celtic 4-0. I think Celtic will bounce back comfortably. We'll move into the final game of the League Cup quarter-final, Dundee United versus Hibs at Tannadice. Wilson, Dundee United, Hibs, who will prevail?
That's a tough one. Dundee United will be confident bouncing off a derby victory, and Hibs maybe a wee bit flat. It's a tough one to call. Who put Hearts out? Hearts not in it.
Celtic put Hearts out.
That's right.
That's the last one.
I'll go. I think that's an extra time and penalties written all over it. So I'll go Dundee United on penalties.
Shankers, Dundee United versus Hibs.
Dundee United are on a wee bit of good form now. The manager's is kind of, it's a wee bit of a surprise man when he got appointed, but he's living up to just now. So just be with the momentum that they've got now, and Hibs not doing too well at the weekend there, and a wee bit sticky, I'll go Dundee United. Again, 1-0 or a draw in extra time or penalties.
Charlie, Dundee United versus Hibs. Round off the predictions for us.
I think Hibs will come out there and absolutely destroy Dundee United. I think they'll really, really come out and say to yourself, right, everybody makes jokes about we've Hibsed it. Let's go and get ourselves back to beyond and get to a final from that side of things. So I think they'll come out and
then they can Hibs it in the final.
And then they can Hibs it in the final, but at least you're there and get a runners-up medal. I think they'll go 2-0 Hibs.
I'm going to go for Hibs 2-1, possibly in extra time. I don't think Hibs will bounce back.
Is Lawrence Shankland injured?
He's away to Belgium.
He's away to Belgium, so I don't.
Oh, is he away? Is he?
I get Celtic.
I'll go Hibs now.
Marc Wilson keeping up to date with Scottish football news.
600,000.
I'm only interested in one Shankland, and that's enough for me.
Even
£600,000, I think he went.
I think he scored the other day. I think he scored for a beer shot.
Do you know what? I keep tweeting them all the time or texting them all the time. How many goals does that Klamala score for New York Red Bulls?
I know.
Is he scoring all the time?
Every single week he scores.
I think he scored like the past 5 games or something.
Is Ronnie Dylan not the manager there?
He's
manager at New York City. Klamala plays for Red Bulls.
Bulls? I think it does, by the way.
Frightening. Yeah. Money.
We are going to wrap up the show there. We will be back on Friday with a Scottish Football Show Extra. We will talk. I don't know who we're going to be on with yet, but we'll keep you updated on social media. We'll also be talking about the Scottish Cup, and we'll have a Ryder Cup special this week on the channel. So stay tuned for that. So we're going to have a fascinating week on the channel. So please stay tuned. Thanks very much to Wilson, Shankers, and Charlie for on the show. Been an absolute pleasure as always.
No worries at all.
Brilliant. Thanks very much to everyone who tuned in, and subscribe as always to our podcast and YouTube channels, and follow us on social media. Thanks very much, everyone. We'll see you soon. Cheers.